always thought it was as friends, so if it didn't work
I'm
with me
so
and Leanne,
sorry
I
about
had
my
to
late
sort of
review,
put
but
my
I
feelings to
had
the side.
other
I definitely
personal
think
things
like
that
in
I
a
had to deal with in the
non-pressured,
morning, and for the
flirty
next couple
way,
of
we
days, my
could
reviews will be
see
late
that.
because I'm back at work. Anyway, I put the two clips together at the front for those that don't understand, or those that, at times the show moves too quickly and they miss out on certain things. The conversation, one, where Scott is being told that Belle has feelings for you, he actually says it depends on Leanne and what she says. One. Two, it depends on whether Leanne says this is the end. If she does, I would have to put my feelings to the side and in a non-pressured way sort of try and explore that. Plain English. If Leanne refuses me, then I'm happy to go into a friendship couple with Belle. Because it's already said that I've always seen her as a friend. So the idea that we're starting to go down this road, this is not something that I expected. So for those that are saying that, and then when you look at the challenge, if you look at his sort of body language after Belle's performance, he was sort of putting himself in a fetal position and laughing. With Leanne, he looked like he was lost, like he had been violated, like he didn't know where he was. He had to sort of hold onto the floor and sort of gather himself before he realized that, oh, okay, the challenge is still going. And at one point, you had Scott look to the side, which leads me to believe that production told him that's enough. And I thought a lot of the performances were very good. I really thought they were very good. Whitney was good, but she ran out of steam and she said, I'm done. I've done my men. That's it. Everybody else, you can sort yourself out. And I think Sammy tried her best. It was interesting to see the boys' reception at how they sort of behave towards the girls. I'll talk about that later. And then am I surprised that Harrison is back? Yes, really I am, because Harrison walked out. He self-eliminated because he said his partner had sort of left. I don't think he self-eliminated because of that. I think he self-eliminated because production told him there was too many complaints and he needed to leave. And Jessie, I'm surprised she's back as well. I don't get why she's back, because she's tainted by the Joey Essex brush, because she was Joey's partner when Joey was sort of terrorizing the villa, and she spoke terribly to Josh. So I'm surprised she's here. Who does she think she'll couple up with? My money is production have brought her for Zach. I'm going to repeat. My money is production have brought her in for Zach, and Millie is about to go through it because Scott has complained bitterly about being in love triangles, even though they're trying to push him into another one. Anyway, hey there, thanks for stopping by. It's your girl Valerie. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you very much to my new subscribers. We're still on our way to 6,000. Click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Love Island All Stars, Season 3, Episode 23. So we have the Islanders. They wake up in the morning, obviously. The villa is still sort of a bit tense because we've had the dumping the night before, and there's this situation going on with Belle. So you have Helena receive a message: girls, forget the morning coffees, head out to the garden for mimosas and a twist. And it's like they're bringing in someone. We already knew it, because a lot of people were posting pictures of Harrison already in Cape Town. So somewhere, I think he was in Cape Town. So I'm not surprised that he's the one they've brought in. Why they've brought him in, I do not get it. He came out. Harrison is from season 12. He was on the same season with Helena and Tommy. He's 26 years old. I'm surprised he's 26 years old. And I'm even more surprised that he's back, given the sort of backlash that was there when he eventually left the villa, because he tried to sort of play stupid games. He wanted to have his cake and eat it, and he tried to mess up a couple that was going very well. He tried to pull a Belle before Belle pulled it, and sadly the fans were outraged, and I feel like this is why he had to be dumped. And so I'm surprised that his young bull is back. He says he's still friends with Lauren. Do I think so? No. Apparently on TikTok, she was on social media, I think TikTok or Instagram or something, she wasn't answering questions about, Harrison. He said his type is a girl who's tanned, green eyes, and he's got a fiery personality. The girls, when they saw him, Helena laughed because he was in something with Helena, because he was in love triangles with multiple people, and he was just being messy and toxic and sort of agitating his partner till no end. And so Helena was excited to see him. She's someone who explored a connection with him, so she's good. You had the boys hear the noise in the garden, and they came out and they realized that it was him. Tommy explained that he's from my season. He was a menace. He was into, multiple partners. So I think the guys are nervous. You have the girls sort of introduce themselves. While they're introducing themselves, Scott has the audacity to say, if Leanne says she's single, then it's a wrap between the two of us. And it's like, Scott, she's already told you it's a wrap, and you've told her she's open to exploring connections with new people. So what is the problem here? This is the problem with Leanne and Scott. They say things, but they don't mean it, in the sense that it's everything else they mean. But I think when it comes to their feelings, they don't want to show that they're the one who's fallen first. So this is why they give each other a pass, and then when things start to the ball starts rolling, then they start complaining that no, that's not what I wanted. Anyway, he said, I'm not having her, tell a bombshell she's single. And it's like, but what did you expect when you told her that she could explore a connection with somebody else? What did you expect her to say? You expected her to say she's in a couple with you, even though she's told you that the two of you are done. Make that make sense? I remember saying it, that if Leanne starts to explore a serious connection with somebody, Scott is going to burn the villa down, or he's going to self-eliminate one of the two. Anyway, you have the girls sort of go around. Leanne does say she's single. Cher says, she was in a love square. She was in a sort of square with Jack and Scott, and Leanne was part of that. And so all the girls, they don't seem really impressed. They asked him about his time in the villa. He explained himself, and you could see that a lot of the girls got the ick. You then had the guys come down and have a conversation with Harrison, and Scott said, I want to know, what did Leanne say? And it's like, Scott, she told you you two are done. So how did we go from that to you wanting to know? So he was told, she said, I'm single, and he went, oh, well, you know more than me. Birthday, episode 22, she was breaking up with you. Not once, but twice. So what do you mean you don't know anything? Or are you selectively choosing not to remember what she told you? Scott is trying to mark his territory. He knows he was a menace. He knows he really upset Leanne, but he's trying to find a way of sort of getting away with whatever he's doing. You have the islanders sitting outside. You have them sitting on the day bed, and so there is a conversation going on between Scott and Belle, and so she's being asked, if he were to show interest, would she be interested in Harrison? And she said, he's too much of a kid. I don't know whether he'd be able to handle Hurricane Belle. And it's like, why are you bragging about being a menace? Why? And you had to have, Whitney and Yemen say to her, that's not something you need to be talking about. That's something you need to park aside and try and establish a connection. And it's like, Scott has a way of telling people that, please, leave me alone. Leave me. Because why is he asking, are you interested in Harrison? He should be pulling her for a chat if he really was that keen on her, as we're being made to believe. Anyway, Harrison goes to the terrace for a chat with Belle. I think Belle just did it for the sake of it, because she was asked, when you're told, can I have a chat? I think you can't say no. Harrison was asked about his type, and he said, Belle is his type. He likes a fiery woman. That's why he liked Tony, because Tony was very fiery as well. He's got a thing for fiery women. That's the impression that I get. He said he liked the color of her eyes, and he would put a ring on her finger just because of the color of her eyes. And it's like, did you not learn any sort of, any lines at all, anything to impress the ladies with? He's still using the same tired old material. You could tell Belle was not interested. She was humoring him because she has to, but she's not interested. She wants something that she can't have, and she knows she can't have, but because somebody else has it, who she feels is not entitled to it, this is why she's being a menace like that. You have Helena then having a chat with Whitney and Belle, and so they're trying to sort of understand what's going on with Belle. They're saying, is there anyone else, since you say Harrison isn't it, you're interested in the villa? And she says, no, I don't know, maybe Scott. And it's like, girl, you have feelings for Scott. Scott doesn't have feelings for you. And sadly, you're repeating the same thing you did with Sean, because you had feelings for Sean. Sean didn't have feelings for you. And you haven't learned your lesson. You're doing the same thing. So you had Whitney say to her, you need to tell Leanne. This sounds like a tell Leanne something. And she, oh, what do I tell her? That Scott and I are IFing. And it's like, girl, have you seen Scott do that? Or is it just you imagining it? Are you just imagining that's taking place? Because it doesn't make sense why you would say that. And I'm very disappointed that she continues to want to die on this hill. You then had a conversation between Yemen, Jack, and Scott. And so the guys were sort of telling Scott, because you had Jack say to Scott, I have been sharing a bed for a couple of days with Belle. And so yesterday she really told me that she's interested in you. What do you think? And Yemen was saying the same thing. What do you think? And Scott said, my focus at the moment is to get Leanne back. That is my focus. My focus is on getting Leanne back, and Leanne decides what happens with the two of us. Whatever decision she makes, I'm going to respect it. And it's like she's already made a decision, but you don't like the decision she's made. This is why you're saying, you're waiting for Leanne. Until she gives you the answer you want to hear, you're not going to continue to receive it. And for those that are saying Scott is interested in Belle, this is something that he has to do. It sounds like it's a chore, because he said he's flirted with her, but he's always seen her as a friend, and he's never seen her in a romantic sense. And so he was saying that if Leanne says no, this is the end of the road, and he has no other choice, he would have to take his feelings, package them aside, and then pause it, probably explore something with Belle, but very lightly. He wouldn't be heavy on it, very lightly. And this is him more or less saying, I'm prepared to be in a friendship couple. He did the same thing with Abby, and eventually decided to opt out of the couple. And this is Scott. This is what he's saying, and people won't hear that, because for them, they feel that Scott belongs with Belle. For what reasons? He's already said he's waiting for Leanne. So Leanne is the architect of their destiny, and this woman has to sit there. Harrison went and pulled, Lucinda for a chat, and it's like Harrison is being a menace. He really is being a menace. So I don't understand why he's doing this. He pulled Lucinda for a chat, and you had people laughing because Lucinda had been sitting with Sean, and she went for a chat, and she was just giggling, giddy. I think the backlash she had from the islanders in the villa, and the fact that Scott said when a bombshell comes, Lucinda is going to dump him. This is why she's trying not to appear interested in Harrison. Do I think she would prefer Harrison to Sean? Yes. Because she's already said, Harrison is a type, and when she was younger, this is the type of guy she should go for. They had some sort of awkward chat. I didn't pay it attention, really. I didn't. Because at the end of the day, Harrison was repeating the same old tired lines about the eyes. Millie had a conversation with Sean and was asking Sean, so how do you feel about Harrison pulling your girl? And you had Sean say, there's nothing he can do, but he has a good thing going. And so I don't know how that's going to end up. So you have Scott go and sit down for a chat with Kieran. Obviously, Kieran is his best friend. Carrington left, which I'm happy for, because Carrington was the one who was giving him bad advice. So I'm happy that he's gone to Kieran, who he knows will always give him the best advice. And so he said, just imagine what I've heard. And Kieran is asking what, and he said, oh, well, apparently Belle wants me. And it's like, oh, so Belle is telling everyone that her and Scott want each other when Scott has no idea about what's going on. Because Scott is saying, I've noticed her checking me out, but I've never really taken it seriously. So the idea that she wants me, I don't get it. At the moment, my struggle is I'm trying to win Leanne. I was very emotional with her yesterday, but she is not giving me anything back. She's not looking at me. She's not even laughing. So I'm sort of in this limbo space where I don't know what to do. And I love that he actually laughed at it, and he said, she's a hurricane, I'm a hurricane. Imagine if the two of us become agitated. How will we resolve that? And Kieran said, well, I'll just walk out. Which means that it's not healthy. His friend Whitney was advocating for it, but people with common sense know that that's not a healthy connection whereby you have two hotheads. So I don't know how that's going to play out. You have on the mini fire pit, Leanne is sitting there, and Whitney comes and says, just to give you a heads up, I know you ended things with Scott, but just know that he might be going for Belle. And it's like, he's not going for Belle. Belle is going for Scott. And what Belle has done is she's tried to taint the water by telling everybody that her and Scott are exploring something. That way Leanne can't, make a U-turn, because everybody will say, but, Scott apparently is already interested in somebody else. And I'm happy that, Whitney gave her the heads up to say this is what is happening. And so you then had, Leanne sort of lamenting to Shen, saying, I knew Scott was going to move on, and I knew there was a possibility that he was going to end up with Belle, but for them to do it the very next day after he's told me that I'm the only person he wants doesn't make sense to me. And it's like, this is the problem with whispers, because people are passing information that is incorrect as actual fact. Belle is the one who's telling everyone that Scott really likes her and she likes Scott. Scott is not telling people that. Scott is saying that I am waiting on Leanne to make a decision about us as a couple. And when she makes a decision, then I will know what to do next. And even if I'm moving on from Leanne, I'm not going to be emotionally invested in anyone. I'm just going to be in a friendship couple until I'm dumped. You had, Helena go to the fire pit with Carrington. She said, she feels like there's no substance to their connection. She feels like nothing is sort of progressing, so she wants to end it. She said, I understand I'll be single, but at the end of the day, it doesn't seem like there's anything growing between the two of us. And it's like Carrington is too focused in Scott's business instead of growing his own connection. He should have stayed away. He's the one who kept encouraging and pushing Cher instead of focusing on Helena. Now he's single, she's single. Good luck to the two of them. You have, a young bull decide to go and pull Cher for a chat. He went and interrupted the chat with Jack. I feel like Cher really wanted Scott. She wanted the victory of winning Scott from Leanne, and sadly she didn't get that. So she's decided to sort of settle with the consolation prize. She looked like she was annoyed to be speaking to, Harrison. Harrison himself seemed very impressed. He asked her to tell him something in Spanish, and it's like there's more to a chat than that. But I actually think their conversation was way better than his conversations with everybody else. So I think Harrison's conversation with Cher was actually better. Everybody else, he was just fishing for compliments, and it's like, buddy, is that what we're here for? You then have Millie receive a message. Islanders, tonight it's boys versus girls in a challenge designed to turn up the heat and send pulses racing. And it's like, oh, the heart rate challenge is here. I can't wait to see what happens. So what happened is the boys came out first and then the girls came out second. So first up was Yemen. He came out as an American football player. He really didn't stand out. I think he was a bit shy and he's too old to be doing stuff like this. So it was sort of a bit, embarrassing. Kieran came out as a mechanic. He tried his best. He didn't seem to have most, but he really tried his best. So good for him. Sean came as a nerd and had the, mishap of his trousers not sort of coming off, and so he had to perform his whole routine with his little trousers on. You could tell Lucinda wasn't feeling it. You then had, Carrington come out in the American flag trunks. He did his best. Helena was impressed. She was impressed because he kissed her, so he did his best, and she really was excited. And the way he was grinding, and she said, "Well, I think I've made a mistake. I think I need to rethink my decision and sort of come up with a different plan." And it's like, good for you. Next up was Jack. He came out in denims. He tried his best. He really tried. It was like seeing your kid in an awful play and just having to be the loudest cheerleader as the parent. Harrison, he was in a gladiator suit. He kissed Belle and Cher. Cher was shooketh to the core. She was shooketh to the core. And people were mocking her that Jack and then she was trying to sort of stop people from saying that because I think she knows that if she loses Jack, she's got no partner. Zach came out as a cowboy. He really tried his best. Millie was smitten. Millie is smitten with Zach that the moment someone steals him from her, she's going to have a breakdown and walk out the door because of the way she behaves. She was giddy. She was excited. Tommy, he came out in leopard print trunks, sort of like Tarzan, and was really trying his best, but as I've said before, he's got this childlike tendencies, so it's a bit annoying to watch. Next up, we had Scott. Scott was the last guy out. All the girls are in heat at the moment because Scott is single. The way they were behaving, for me, I was taken aback that where is the respect for your girl? Leanne is still grieving a broken heart and all of you are doing that. Scott was dressed as the waiter. He kissed Cher and he kissed Helena. And he was very smart because he knows that Belle is sort of telling everyone that there's a connection there, sort of I effing and whatever else she's saying. And so he put, the drink in his mouth and then he spit it in her mouth. And it's like, oh my God, she was giddy and excited. And it's like, why are you excited? Why are you making a big deal out of nothing? Imagine he kissed Helena than kiss you. Make that make sense. If he really likes you, he should have kissed you in front of everyone. But he would rather kiss Helena to prove a point that there's nothing there. With Leanne, she's not going to be offended. She knows that he's now friend-zoned Cher, so there's nothing there. And it seems like Leanne and Cher are now close friends. So I think he knew that would be fine. And then instead of kissing Belle, he decided to go and kiss what's her name, Helena. From there, he took Belle and he sort of, put her on the floor, spat in her mouth. She was excited. She made it seem like he was making love to her. And then he went to Leanne. Because he lifted up Cher, he lifted Leanne. Because he lifted Cher, just stood up with her and then put her down. But with Leanne, he lifted her, turned round, sat down, and had her on his lap. And then he thought, no, this is not enough. Took her to the floor and did whatever he did there before she stood up. She was shooketh to the core and told her that, we're not done until I say we're done. And it's like, Scott, are you the same buddy who was crying yesterday for Leanne? This is why I say Leanne is Scott's kryptonite, because around everybody else, he's the man. When it's just him and Leanne, he's a weakling, he's a little tiny puppy, and you're just feeling sorry for him. Oh my God. Anyway, next up was the girls. The girls were exciting, really. It was exciting because Belle came out first. She was dressed as a Playboy bunny in black. And so I don't know what production are trying to do. Because I have a feeling that Scott has already said he doesn't want Leanne hurt. He's always said he wants to make Leanne happy. So I think this is why Belle was brought out first. Because if there's a love triangle, why didn't they make Leanne watch Belle behave the way she behaved? Because she danced on everybody, and then she took Scott, went and put him on the floor and was grinding on him. When I say Scott, if you look at the words or the storylines that are being set for Scott are totally different from his actions, because she was grinding right on his manhood, and it's like, girl, and instead of saying anything or whatever, he lifted up his leg. That way she didn't have access to that, so all she had to do was to grind on his leg. Afterwards, he was laughing, and the guys had to try and help him sort of stand up because he was putting himself in a fetal position and sort of saying, oh wow, and it's like, not really. Helena came next. She was dressed in leopard print. She kissed Tommy, Scott, and then she went to Carrington. Forget what I said earlier, because she was impressed by his grinding. So, she's happy to keep going. It is what it is. Millie came out as an angel. And surprise, surprise, she sucked on Scott's finger. You had Kieran end up saying all the girls are excited that Scott is single. They are excited. They are all making moves because he's now single. And it's like, Scott is not single. Officially he's single, but he's not really single because he is waiting for Leanne to change her mind. So everybody else can be interested, but that doesn't mean that he's going to reciprocate whatever they're giving. And then when Leanne came, Leanne was so nervous and so shy. So the guys all started looking at Scott. And when they were looking at Scott, Scott started asking, why are you looking at me? Why are you looking at me? Kieran was excited as though he is in the couple with Leanne. She was dressed in red. She had this red lingerie with this little sort of gown. It looked really cute. And she was so shy. It was so sweet. And what I liked is, when Scott did his challenge, when he got to Sammy, he kissed Sammy's hand and he said, this is my best friend's girl. I'm not going to do anything inappropriate. And Kieran actually appreciated that. So with Leanne, what tells me that there's still something there with Scott is, when she got to Kieran, she took her gown and sort of put it behind his head and sort of used it to sort of bring his head into her boobs, and that was it. She didn't grind on him. Everybody else, she did her grinding. She got to Harrison, she kissed Harrison on the neck, skipped over Scott, and then went down the line. When she got to Carrington, she did the same move that she did on Kieran, and I think that's because they're Scott's friends. And then when she got to Tommy, she treated him like a little boy, just asked him to turn around and then sort of spanked his palm for a bit. After that, then she took Scott to the floor. To anyone that says Scott doesn't like Leanne, play side-by-side footage of the Leanne lap dance and the, Belle, and then you'll answer yourself. Scott he malfunctioned in front of everyone. Because one, he didn't lift his leg the way he did with Belle. Two, once they finished, or whether they were told to stop, he had to sort of balance himself because he was sort of disorientated, like he's lightheaded, he's about to pass out or whatever. And it took him a moment, because he actually stumbled while he was sat on the floor. It took him a moment to sort of gather himself before he went to sit down. And it's like, Scott likes Leanne, likes Leanne. The commentary from Kieran, unfinished business, that is passion. That is passion. It's like Kieran, he's cheering for his friend. You had Jack say, I've never seen so much passion. And it's like, I love it. For Belle to be saying, I don't know whether I can watch. You don't need to watch. You really don't need to watch. He's not your guy anyway. Sammy came out in a dusky little pink outfit. She did her best. She looked cute. And surprisingly, the guys, I was surprised that they cheered more for Leanne, whether it was because of Scott or whatever, than they did for most of the other girls. Some of the girls had to ask them to cheer because they were just sitting there, just staring and just ogling. With Sammy, they were just like, kids in a candy store not knowing which chocolate to pick. So after Sammy, you had, Whitney come out. She was in a little pink sort of luminous outfit. It's different from what she wore last time, because last time she had on a dress, this time she was really dressed for the nines. And I love that she sort of was straddling Jack, looking at him, and then did a 180 spin and sort of sat on Yemen. When she got to Scott, she just fist bumped him because that's her buddy, so there was nothing she was going to do that was inappropriate. And halfway down the line, she said, "Oh, I'm done. I'll give you guys a shake." Shook her little bum, and off she went. Lucinda came out. She was dressed as a devil. She did her best. She really did her best, and she looked cute. She really looked cute. Then you had Cher. Cher came out in a cheerleader outfit. She kissed Harrison, and then she went to Scott, missed opportunity, and it's like, okay, whatever you say. And then lastly, she finished with Jack. Jack was excited. He was giddy. He was happy, and then everyone was sitting around and just waiting what's happening next. In walks in Jess. I don't know why Jess is here, because I thought she and Joey Essex had something good, and they did this spread that sort of was released the same day that Josh and Mimi's spread was released, even though they are not the winners. They were eliminated on final 5, so I'm surprised she's back, and she really didn't do very well on her season. The way she spoke to some of the other islanders, I didn't like it, and she was very territorial about someone she stole. So my money is on she's been brought in to steal Zach. That's what I think. I think she's been brought in to steal Zach. I think because of Belle showing interest in Scott, they can't have 4 or 5 people being interested in the same guy. That doesn't make sense. So my money is she's going to make a move for Zach. Anyway, she came in. She sort of, everybody was shocked. Who's that? Who's that? And then it eventually came out that, oh, it's Jessie. She was on the same season with Sean. She was on the same season with Kieran. I was surprised that she actually danced on Kieran and Sean, because Sean was her partner's best friend, so I'm pleasantly surprised. She went round the guys and then finished off with Scott. Why? I don't even know why. I really don't even know why. For Belle to say take it easy on Scott, it's like, girl, he's not your guy. He really is not your guy. You're making too much of a mountain out of a molehill, and we're not here for that nonsense. So I really can't wait to see the outcome. My money is they're going to try and make it seem like Belle raised Scott's heart rate when we all saw his reaction after Leanne. This is why I put the clip of him having Leanne dance on him. Anyway, thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Click on the link in my video to watch my review from episode 22. Bye guys.